Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sue Hutchins, as you know, and I am the founder of this particular series of YouTube interviews. I'm doing this in collaboration between the Iowa Justice Action Network, Living Beyond the Bars of Iowa, and Iowa Cure. As always, what I really hope is that for those of you who are watching, you will be willing to give me your opinions about how you feel about what I'm doing here. My goal is to interview people from a variety of different perspectives. People who have been incarcerated and are now released, people who have a loved one who's incarcerated or who has been incarcerated in the past, people who at one time worked for the Department of Corrections, and people like myself who are advocates for some changes that we believe need to happen in the Iowa justice system as a whole, and specifically in the prison system and the reentry programs, the reentry system that's available for people when they come out of prison. What we're going to be talking about today is of serious interest. One of the things that I got involved in the very beginning of this particular part of my life, as far as prison reform is concerned, has to do with mass incarceration. And that has a lot to do with the disproportionate number of African Americans in this country that are incarcerated and the way that African Americans are treated in the criminal justice system. A lot of Iowans really believe and want to continue believing that Iowa is a wonderful place to live and that we're in the heartland and that things are fair here and that we really thrive. And in a lot of ways, that's true in a number of cities, in a lot of cities. And for people of a certain complexion, that seems to be truer than for people of another complexion. A point that needs to be made about that is that in 2018, the Wall Street Journal named Waterloo, Iowa as the worst place in this country to live if you were African American. Think about that. Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa, worst place to live in the country if you were African American. And that was based on a number of factors. Black Hawk County incarcerates more people than any other county in Iowa and is high on incarceration in the country as far as percentage of people per capita. I have some real concerns about that, as do a lot of other people. And I want people to know about that, and I want things to be done about that. So today what I've done is invited for you to be able to listen to two people who have started an organization to help make changes in that dynamic, to be helping people who have been overlooked, seriously overlooked and criminalized for being poor in a lot of situations. It is, their names are Dean and Michelle Feltus, and they live in Waterloo. And they have started a program, and I want you to be able to hear the things that they have done and the reasons that they have done them and what it has been like for them personally to be involved in this, what changes it has made in their thinking and what changes it has made in their perceptions of the Iowa Department of Corrections, and what good things can happen when people are treated well. So I'm going to turn it over to them in just a moment, but I do want to say one more time, I really want you to be thinking about what it means to have Iowa, the little state of Iowa that is supposed to be a place to really flourish and we're so proud of, a city in our state to be named nationally as the worst place to live in this country. I mean, think about Chicago and Detroit and Baltimore and Chicago. I mean, places that are in the news all the time that you hear things about. But no, Waterloo, Iowa, worst place to live in this country if you're African American. So, and granted, that was in 2018 and some things have changed. But the most recent research that I saw, Waterloo is still like number 6 of worst places to live. So it's better, but think about that. Just think about that. If you are African American, what that would mean to you and your family. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dean and Michelle, and they have a lot to tell you. And I will be in the background. And if once in a while, I will ask some questions if I feel like it's necessary for clarity, but I think they can handle it themselves. So Dean and Michelle, it is all yours.
I'm Dean. This is Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
I'm the director of One City United. Michelle's the director of our Momentum program. We started in 2018 out of just a lot of years of research. We were really trying to find the needs in Waterloo and really dig in deep, not just start programs or just start a nonprofit, but to really discover what the deep needs were in Waterloo. And then we kind of approached it in somewhat of a different way. We uncovered the need, and then in 2017, we found a program that was just really fantastic called Momentum. 2017 is when we saw them, and 2018 is when we actually went up there, and then 2019 we started,
Okay.
2020.
Okay. So Momentum is a employment program, but it's employment is the result and the goal, but the number one goal is life transformation. And through our research into the issues related to poverty in Waterloo, we're seeing everything, and the barriers that people have when they come to Momentum are they have to have two or more. So childcare, transportation, housing, homelessness, which we've seen a huge increase on in Waterloo. Childcare, transportation, housing, homelessness, in recovery, someone with addictions. That is our number one barrier. As far as addiction being the barrier, recovery is what we want to see and who we serve the most of. And then the second barrier is incarceration, which I like to say justice impacted, because it doesn't just impact the individual, it impacts the whole entire family, it impacts the community. And that's what we have seen as a lot of cause here in Waterloo for poverty. And so then also, what am I leaving out? Ageism, generational poverty, unemployed and underemployed. So we cover all of the barriers as far as that's who usually comes to Momentum or have two or more of those barriers. And sometimes we need to refer people on to other programs, but the program is based on changing people's mindsets about their perception of themselves. And so we really work on perceptions, perspectives, and prejudices. And
Yes.
we all have them, and we all have to work on them. And we really focus on the stigmas related around mental health, reentry, and recovery, and helping employers to realize they are missing out on great people. And we have some great people first employers that we work with in the Cedar Valley, and aspire to help more and more employers to realize that they need to become people first as well.
I think just a little more background too. Why do we do this? Why is it on our radar? Why is it important to us? We've been doing this for 18, 19 years now. Been involved in Waterloo and really working with just a lot of people that really all the barriers that Michelle named, but specifically a lot of men and women that are returning from incarceration. And literally over the 18, 19 years, it's hundreds of people that we have worked with. Some have lived in our home with us as well, but we've seen such challenges for men and women that are returning, as far as many times I think one of the biggest challenges is just people in our community are not aware of what that feels like and what that looks like for someone who is returning. They don't understand the challenges that meet them day one. Where am I going to live? Where am I going to work? How am I going to have a healthy group around me? Where am I going to get support? How am I going to get to and from my appointments and my job? Who's going to be there to coach me and help me through that? And unfortunately, too many times the support systems and the support services are either they're unaware of where they are or they're just unavailable. We are a small city. We're not a large city. So we do have many supports, but they're also in many areas they are somewhat lacking to be able to support the 800 people a year that come back to Black Hawk County every year. So we've had a lot of years of really investing in a lot of lives. And Sue, can you just kind of guide us where you want us to go from there, please?
Yes, yes, thank you very much for that. And 800 people a year coming out of prison is a lot of people to return to the city. Would you talk a little bit about what the program is, what you do, how you help people change their minds, and what they come with as a mindset that needs to, for their own good, that needs to change?
Yeah, I guess I'll just start with my 2-minute elevator that I always tell people, and it's, I think what our program really does is a 6-week program. It's 5 days a week, and it's for 6 weeks. What we really do is we try to have people that walk in the first day that many times what they see in the mirror is they see the identity of, I'm a felon, I'm a druggie, whatever society, whatever their family, whatever friends, whatever people around them have told them, whatever the system has told them they are, that's what they believe. And that's how they see themselves. By the end of 6 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
99% of the time, what we see is people start to see you see a new identity. They see a person that has value, that has worth, that has talent, that is powerful, that can thrive in life, and the world opens up to them in a way that has never been open to them before.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the power of our program is not getting someone a job, is helping them to see who they really are and who we see them to be. And so that is the power of this program is the life transformation piece. Then when we help them match them up with an employer, then they can thrive in that employment situation.
Yes. And so you have employers that you have explained your program to, that are aware of your program, that so you can place people. So you have laid a foundation of employment possibilities for people. Correct?
Absolutely. We have a track record with a number of companies that know the quality of people that graduate our program. They actually get a graduation certificate when they graduate. And yeah, we have employers that understand the quality of person and the quality of training and equipping that happens through Momentum. And so they're pretty excited to get people.
Our number one industry this past year, and we just graduated 20 terms. We're on our 21st term right now, which is a 6-week session.
Mm-hmm.
And our number one industry was healthcare.
Yeah.
And we have individuals who are getting into careers, not just a job, but a career,
Mm-hmm.
who have 20-some felonies. And they never thought they could ever work in healthcare, or that they could go on to school to be a counselor, that they could become peer coaches, all different kinds of careers. But we really focus on people's values to begin with, start with the end in mind. And when you match your values, at your personal values with your work values, you never really have to work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see a lot is people turning their pain into their passion and their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they can't get into the job that they aspire to be in for a certain amount of time because of our laws.
Yes.
Our lawmakers need to change the laws as far as the government goes. We have individuals who could really be giving back
Right.
to our state.
With a
But
high level of expertise.
yeah, and
Yeah.
instead they have to go to other states to find employment, doing the things that they love to do, and they'll be very good at it.
Yes.
Because they have lived experience.
I guess that's one of the challenges that one of the biggest challenges I see is, I guess in our justice system as a whole is that we tend to look at people as they were, and instead of who they are and who they want to be. And anytime you're looking back like that and it's the only focus you have is looking backwards, that person has nowhere to go but backwards. So the only way to really, you talk about reforming and doing things like that, the only way for that to happen is to look at where people want to go and help them to get there. The other part is, this is something we've really been talking about a lot this year, is everybody has the same desire, and that's to be treated as a human being.
Correct.
Everyone has that same desire in their life to be treated as a human, not as a number, not as a statistic, not as a work unit, not as whatever it may be. People want to be human, and they want to be human with each other, with everyone around them, and they want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to be understood. And when that starts to happen in our DOC and our DOJ, when that starts to happen, there could be wholesale changes, but it has to start at that foundational level where we actually see each individual as a human being, and not as anything else.
And if I may ask, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, or you can answer it however you want to. Do you believe that the Department of Human Services at this point and the prison system sees people as humans, or do you believe that they are seen as numbers and criminals and felons?
Well, part of what we teach in Momentum is to help people narrate their change. We don't do it for them. They have to experience it. Our first 2 weeks is on hope. Our next 2 weeks is on life transformation classes. And then our last 2 weeks is on opportunity. We've had great success with individuals narrating their change, how they have changed, because they actually have. And that has to go through the Department of Human Services to get into any of the healthcare positions that people are getting into. Of course, laws need to change. Our lawmakers need to change how they're viewing people, because there's a lot of myths out there with
Correct.
individuals who are in recovery. They are recovering. They are moving forward, and when they know, knowledge is king. And when we give people knowledge, they can move forward. We're even tracking adverse childhood experiences to help people understand we care, and we're going to journey along with you. We refer people on to get additional assistance. We're not counselors, so we definitely want to connect people, but a lot of our referrals are coming from counselors. Even a psychiatrist, I believe, is referring people to us. But our references are throughout the whole community. It takes a community to run the program that we run.
And to get back to your question,
I'm sorry, did I skip over it?
and to get back to your question, I think many times no, but I also have a certain, after doing what we've been doing for 20 years, almost 20 years now, I do understand the emotional stress that is
Yes.
put on people that are in the Department of Human Services or in the corrections system. There's a tremendous amount of emotional stress that is put on their lives, not on a daily basis, on a minute by minute, hourly basis, and honestly, it's easier to set up a stringent system where you don't have to get emotional, because it's really hard to live on your emotions all day, every day. But yes, I think we can do better, and I think they can do better. But I do understand the stress that's involved. It's a very stressful thing. It's a very emotional. It's very emotional to watch someone that you really believe in, and then to see something happen where they made a bad decision or a bad choice, and they aren't fulfilling what you believe it can happen for their life. And when that happens over and over every day, I can see why it's gone that direction. I mean, that's the way the correction system has been. It started out that way. It started out very punitive and very much about punishment. It's better than it was 100 years ago, but I hope we don't have to wait 100 years for it to get much better.
I agree. I just to add to that, one of the things that I have really begun to understand is that The original belief about setting up the justice system, well, the prison system, was the belief that people have some bad seed in them that commit crime, and that they need to be able to be removed from society. It's hard to tell if they can ever be reformed. There is sort of an intrinsic belief that nobody will change, and you cannot, once you're a criminal, always a criminal. And they need to be kept out of society and not be able to procreate so that they cannot pass that on. And that is absolutely horrifying to me. And that is so entrenched in our prison system beliefs. It's really, really hard. People don't even really realize the depth of that as a belief in the system. To punish, and then to restrain, and then maybe to rehabilitate. But most people need to be punished and restrained from procreating. Hence, a lot of long sentences that keep people out of society so that they cannot make babies, which is just horrifying to me. But that is one of the sort of foundational beliefs about why we send people to prison. And the whole thing about 3 strikes and you're out, I thought that started with Clinton. I thought that was new in 74 with the crime bill that Clinton passed, but it's not. It goes all the way back to the 20s. Goes all the way back to the 20s. 2 crimes and you were incorrigible as a criminal. 3 crimes and you're gone forever. And it used to be, at one time, it was against the law to marry a criminal in Iowa.
I didn't know that. That's
Yes,
interesting.
it was against the law.
Would that be a felon or a misdemeanor, or what does that mean?
A criminal, period. Somebody who had 2 crimes.
Oh.
Wow.
And that was for the purpose of not procreating. And then when you add on top of that what we have done to African Americans in our society, and the way we have labeled African Americans in our society in general, and I'm not saying you and me, I'm saying in general, the way that we have treated and labeled them. I mean, it's just very, very, very deep and very ingrained. So congratulations to you guys on what you're doing. And all of us who are trying to make some dents in this, and actually are making some dents in this, and helping whoever is in front of us. That's my belief, is that we can do what we can do with the person in front of us. We're not going to change the system.
That's right.
I mean, I thought at one time that we had a shot, but I've long since, I think it's admirable for people who think that they're going to change the system, but I've sort of given that away to a younger generation than me to change the system. I'm just interested in getting accurate information out there and supporting people who are doing like what you guys are doing, and letting people in general know how things like really are. So forgive me, I diverse. I mean, I get on my little soapbox, and oh my goodness. Anyway, one of the things that I would like you to talk about also is, do you think that it would be beneficial to have your program in the prison?
Well, wow, you blindsided me with that one, Sue.
I'm sorry. Or a program like yours, not necessarily yours, but a program that teaches not the job, not for the purpose of a job, but for the purpose of a person being able to see themselves differently. Yes, to be able to see themselves differently.
I think it could be beneficial if it was handled correctly in the system, but being of a punitive nature, it counters what we teach.
Exactly.
As empowering people to see themselves differently. And yeah, what do you think, Dean?
I just think there's so much of our program during the 6 weeks that's really, it's life application. From day one through the end of 6 weeks, every class is hinged with the next class. So you
Mhm.
have to be able to start applying that in your life. And I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure if you definitely, it wouldn't work through a video process, I don't believe. And one of the strengths of our program is it's 12 people in a classroom that form a really strong bond, and they end up being a support system for each other. Um, could that work? Possibly in a progressive
in a
in a
movement.
progressive system where people were really behind it and wanted it to work. I think if people are, you had a group of men or women that were 6 months from being released, and you could run this program and really support them through it. I think as they were released, I think they could do very well. I'm not sure in the current system, the way it's structured, if it would work. I just we've talked about this in the past, and we piloted this program from another organization, and they tried it on a limited basis, and not in the prison, but with a work release facility, much like what we have.
Mhm.
And it just wasn't effective because of the structures and the
Environment,
systems in
yeah.
place. It just didn't work.
I'm actually glad to hear you say that. It's been my longtime belief that you can't do therapy or make changes when you are working within the system that wants to keep you incarcerated.
Yeah.
And if you're getting paid by the people who are keeping the people that you're trying to help, if you're getting paid by the people who are trying to keep people incarcerated or punish them, you're not going to be effective, because anything you do can be taken away in a heartbeat. So I agree with that. What do you think? If anything, do you think that the Department of Corrections does a good job, or a fair job, or could do a lot better job of preparing people for reentry?
I think they do a good job with some of the skills for the workforce, as far as specific to the trades, uh, possibly. Well, it depends on what they're doing with IPI. I know they're trying to move in different directions, but just like out here, we need more support for community-based
Mhm.
programs like ours, because we teach the change, the head to the heart, where people truly change. Now they can get the hard skills, and they can learn a trade, and but if they, what's going to happen? My concern, what's going to happen on a bad day? And
Mhm.
so I think we could do a better job tag teaming it, though a lot of our referrals are coming from POs. And there, some POs are even telling their people, you have to go and you have to get into momentum. You need this. And then people will come and say, my PO told me, and we typically don't, that's not a good thing to say.
No.
It's more, I want change. So we
Uh-huh.
always tell people, when they call us or when they email us or they reach out, tell us why you want it, not
Mhm.
why your PO wants it.
Mhm.
But some of the, I mean, I've had POs tell me, this is about people that have graduated the program. This is the first person that hasn't let me down in 20 years. And I'm like, wow, that tells how broken the system has been.
Mhm.
So let's start tag teaming this and working collaboratively with the community-based initiatives, because we're solution-based. We want to get to the problem, fix
Mhm.
the problem, move to the next problem. And so we should be doing this together.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it could definitely be strengthened. I don't know if that's a longer term to prepare people.
Mhm.
I just see a lot of men and women that return that have a lot of anxiety because I'm not sure they know what quite to expect, especially if it's been a lengthy sentence, more than 15 years.
Mhm.
I think they could do a better job of preparing them to understand society now, understand finances now, understand technology now, understand just the basic things of how society may look at them or treat them, or anything that is going to help to embolden them to be able to step out and feel good. It's a struggle when they get released and society believes that they should be thrilled that now they're free, but all this weight is on them and all these decisions that they haven't had to make for 15 years, now they have to make day one.
Mhm.
And I just think there could be a better preparation period, a stronger preparation curriculum, whatever that might be, that would prepare men and women to at least have a hand up when they step out.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Can you talk a little bit about, this is totally different now. Can you talk a little bit about how you have changed since you've been doing this work? What it has done for you?
On a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and your on a daily basis and your overall view of the system and people and
We
politics.
believe that all lives can change. But that took us needing to do it ourselves first and not marginalizing people in our own minds, understanding our own bias, our own stereotypes,
Mhm.
our own prejudice. And yeah, we love being the recidivism busters.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, I guess the biggest change that I guess I've seen, I'll speak for myself, in 20 years is just really looking at people as human beings. I mean, in my heart and my mind, what I see, as far as racism is, it all starts at the root of it is people grouping.
Mhm.
We take one incident of one person that we might see on the news, and all of a sudden, everybody that looks like them or has come from where they've come from or speaks the language they speak or is from that culture, all of a sudden, everyone is that. And instead of looking at each individual as a human being, that's, I guess, the biggest change in me is seeing each individual as a human being, an individual, instead of grouping people into these stereotypical groups that ends up just causing so many issues and struggles, not only in this country, just around the world.
Around the world, yes.
That whole idea of grouping people because of an individual incident or even a series of incidents is so wrong, because we're all individual human beings. I guess the other thing too is that one of the biggest things that I've seen, I used to think weakness was bad, or a bad decision or a bad choice was bad. Um, but not anymore. I mean, it's not. We've made choices and decisions in our lives, and it's not where we've been. It's where we're going, and it's about responding. How do you respond? And
Mhm.
that's what we teach so hard is to not react but respond. And we can respond positively to negative things we've done. We've all done things we probably should have been in prison for. At least I have.
Me
And
too.
it's those decisions could have landed me in prison, but they didn't. But somebody else makes the same decision and they end up in prison. So
Mhm.
how are we going to respond to that? We have to understand that everyone needs to learn how to respond. And one of the things we talk about is teach, train, and equip. And it's really about teaching knowledge people don't know, training them how to apply that knowledge, and equipping them to be able to gain knowledge and equip it for themselves and do it for themselves and to apply that
Mhm.
knowledge for themselves. So that's what I've learned is that, I mean, every human being is valuable, important, talented, and we should treat each person individually. And
Mhm.
also just, that whole grouping thing is just, I just don't do it anymore. It's not a part of my life. So those are huge, just tremendous changes in my life. I'm still very fiscally conservative, but politically, I have no time for any politics. I have no use for it. It doesn't apply to my life in any way. Because I'm very socially minded, but I'm also, a dollar's a dollar to me, and I don't want to waste it. So I'm very fiscally conservative, but I'm also very socially minded and hearted.
And for me, when you say socially minded, I think about there's plenty of nonprofits that want to keep the problems going so they can keep existing. Let's fix the problems and move to the next and fix the problems. Come up with the solutions, move to the next problem, and collaborate. And when we started this, my research was on the issues related to lack of youth programming, which took me into gang research, trying to figure out how to lock people out instead of let people in. And that through that, I realized the impact incarceration has made on our city. And there's a lot of money in it.
Yes.
And instead of focusing on problems, we need to focus on solutions and look at the value that people have, and every person matters.
Yeah, we talked about it. Imagine if there was no crime in America for 2 months. Our unemployment rate around the country would be astronomical because of the way our system is set up. There has to be crime for our system to continue. And so, yeah, our whole goal is to disrupt that whole system and from the grassroots, from the ground up, and help people thrive in life and disrupt that whole system. I wouldn't mind seeing a 10% unemployment rate because people are thriving.
Other countries do it.
Yeah.
Other countries do it. Do you think that it would is a good idea? This is just a brainstorming. Do you think that it would be a good idea to actually teach kids in school how to think rather than what to think?
Absolutely, in every way. We stopped doing that usually at 3 or 4 years old.
Right.
Right. We allow them to do all kinds of creative things and applaud them for it. And then when they get in school, it's here's what you do and here's, here you go. You stay inside these borders.
I also would suggest that learning is based on fear in our educational system. Fear of what will happen if you don't think this way. Fear of what will happen if you don't believe this way. And when you're talking about people grouping, to me, it turns into this group based on fear is against this group. And
Absolutely.
This group responds to this group out of fear. So fear is where the power is at in our culture. I mean, that's the way I see it. It's very oversimplified, but that's the way I see it. And I think what you're talking about is to set the fear aside and just be the person that you really are and live your life according to your values and move forward.
Yeah, and treat other people the same way.
Yeah, get rid of the dehumanization of our society. And people's past should never be a life sentence. That we need to rehumanize. And I say rehumanize employment because employers really need to focus on putting the people first. I call it legitimizing the new hustle and creating people first places. The book that I'm just finishing right now, but we see it working, and why wouldn't people want people to be their neighbors? I mean, let's make reform really reform, and focus on helping the people be the best people they can be, because change is possible, and we see it all the time.
Yeah, and you don't want us on our soapbox.
No.
Well, I do apologize for getting on mine. It just one of the main issues that I personally see in moving forward for you and in that line of thinking for myself and other people that think like this is that power really does not want to give up itself. The people in power really don't want to let go of the power that they have. And that includes money as well as power over people. So that's kind of what makes the climbing of the hill a bit stressful for those of us who are climbers. It also is what makes it well worth the effort, one person at a time. So,
Well, psychologically speaking, I mean, everybody loves to have power, right?
everybody has some power, and it's what they do with it.
Absolutely. And I mean, let's be honest. For people, it feels good. It feels good to be in control, to be in power over a situation or a circumstance. You mentioned fear. It's great to end up having power over something that you had fear of. So we all have that ingrained desire to have power over things, but having power over people is a whole different thing. And
Exactly.
that's where we need to lay down our swords and start understanding that people are people, humans are humans, and if everyone is treated with dignity and everyone is treated, one of the things, just one of my small soapbox,
Okay, good.
is
I'm going through.
with employment. I'm really, I get frustrated many times because companies have done what they've done if they're an older company for 50 or 70 or 100 years, and they tend to look at who someone has been, as our society does. I mean, we always look at track record of where someone has been in their life, and we either hire or don't hire according to that, instead of saying, where are you right now? Tell me what's going on in your life. Tell me what's different, because I do see your track record, but tell me where you're at now. Tell me where do you want to go in your life? And hiring on where you are now and where you want to go. If HR would start looking at where people are currently and where they want to go, it would not only gain them quality employees, it would create inside someone a confidence and a self-image and a self-identity that they didn't have before. Because now they have someone else they have an employer believing in them of where they want to go, and they can help them get there. I would like to see, I would like to see the HR acronym become human relations instead of being gatekeepers. Because
Yes.
honestly, that's what many of them are. They don't want to be, but that's what they've been relegated to through the structures and the systems that have been handed down to them.
Yes.
I don't think many people want to do it the way they do it. I just think they have to. I think that's what has been given to them to do. So that's one of my soapboxes, that I think we need to start seeing people where they are, where they want to go, and where they are going, instead of where they've been. We all have a past. And if everyone knew the skeletons in our closets, no one would have ever hired us. Honestly, none of us would have jobs.
Right.
Very few people would be working right now.
Right.
So, yeah, that's one of my big ones. Is we need to see people where they want to go. Anyway, yeah.
Get rid of
Another
the,
thing that would do is eliminate people who have a really, really good work history and are applying for this job because of their work history, but they really don't want it. Their heart's not in it anymore. So they're being hired above somebody, or instead of somebody who really wants and is motivated to do it because of their history.
You're also missing out on the creativity that someone with a new perspective can bring to the job.
Right.
You're hiring this person who's done it for 20 years, who has their way of doing things, and you miss the creativity.
And sometimes people don't really want the job. They just think that they should take it because they could get it, and they get it for the money. They don't really, their heart's not in the job, is what I'm saying. So it would eliminate those folks, I think. Anyway, what were you going to say, Michelle?
Oh, we've seen employers not so much with momentum, but we've seen employers take advantage of individuals that are maybe in the work facility, and pay them less because they have a captive audience.
Yes.
And it's like, no, these people have value. By the time they graduate our program, they know who they are. And they have their goals set around. We really focus on the dimensions of wellness, and vocation is a big part of our life. It's where we spend a lot of our time. So it's really important we find jobs we like, right?
Mhm.
But it's just as important that people take care of their health, they take care of their relationships, they take care of their personal development, their career development, and spirituality.
Yeah, whatever that.
There, whatever that may be.
Whatever
That
that is.
it's
Yep.
really important that people take care of themselves and learn what that looks like. So yeah, we journey. You may hear some background noise. I hear peer support starting out there. We started peer
Good.
support
Yeah, good.
because we realized we needed to create spaces for individuals to that we could journey alongside them. So we have peer coaches here that somebody may come to peer group because they had a bad day at work. So I need to go to peer because these people understand me.
Or they had a really good day at work.
Or
They want to come and encourage the group.
Yes.
we
Yes.
had employers tell us that we're hiring a supervisor, a shift supervisor, and they said, your folks from Momentum, they're always on time, they're always ready to work, and they come in with a good attitude. And they had 3 people that were being interviewed, and 2 of them were our grads, and one of our grads got it. And I was
That's awesome.
so excited about that 2 out of the 3 being interviewed for a supervisor position for our grads.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, our time is about up. This has been very, very helpful, and I think what you've offered will be very informative to the public, and that's what my goal is to let people know different perspectives. And this is a perspective that I really believe strongly in, what you folks are doing, and I want people to know about it. So I'm very grateful that you took the time to spend with me and let me interview you, and then we'll let this be up on YouTube for people to see. Before we actually close, if you think about like tomorrow, is there anything, when you look back at this interview, is there anything that tomorrow that you might think that you wish you would have said?
I told our county sheriff probably 3 years ago, the goal of our program is that he's going to have to rent out 1 floor of the county jail as flats because there aren't going to be people coming back. And with a 3% recidivism rate in the next 5 years, we're going to make a huge impact on the county jail population. So we just need more people that believe in people and more people that are willing to just journey with people long term. Short-term programs don't work. It takes I don't know if anybody else has tried to change or have a diet or change their diet or whatever, but it takes time for a pattern to be effective and to where you don't have to think about it anymore. It just becomes part of your life. So we have to journey long term with people. We can't do short-term journeys, 30-day programs or things like that. It's just not effective. People can't sustain through the really trying times when they haven't had a long-term support. So I would just encourage people to really get involved and support people long term and not look at it as a short-term commitment, but a lifetime commitment, right?
Yes. Thank
And
you.
you invest in the people, they invest in your organization. When you invest in, when companies hire for the people and put the people first, they're going to take care of the organization. It's the ones who stick to these risk-based ideologies. They're the ones that are saying people don't want to work. That's not true. Not true. And because our grads, they'll outwork everybody.
I guess one of the most amazing things that I've seen happen that I guess I just wasn't expecting, probably should have, but I didn't, is that, as people come into class, many times, they've been looking for services in the community to be able to support support their lives. They've been using different government programs and all kinds of things, and so they're always looking for a way to be able to get their next resource. And by the end of class, nearly every graduate is looking for ways to give back.
Yeah.
Their hand is out to give now. It's just an amazing thing that happens when we can help people to see where they want to go in life, and we give them opportunity to go there and give them the tools and equip them to be able to do that. It's amazing what happens in someone's life and how the world becomes a place where they can actually participate in it in a powerful and meaningful way and impact other people's lives. It's just amazing.
And helping individuals turn what they thought was their weakness into a strength.
Yes.
All in how you look at it and doing the next right thing and just moving forward.
Well, thank you both very much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. And I really think a lot of both of you. I have a lot of respect for both of you. In fact, I think I could fairly say I love you guys. So
we love you.
Thank you very much for, and keep doing what you're doing, because it really matters. I mean, you're making a big difference. And someday Waterloo will not even be on that list of the worst place to live, which is awesome.
It won't. People are going to be looking at Waterloo because,
as a model.
It's because of you guys, and you're going to go out and you're going to pass it on, and you're going to fill the gap.
Change it.
What we're doing is generational work. It's not, we get excited about the individual accomplishments and successes, but what really gets me fired up is the generational impact it's going to have on their kids, as friend group, and on after that. It's a generational program that's going to impact not only individuals, but their families, their neighborhoods, their kids. It's gonna make a large. It's a rock in a pond for sure. It's gonna ripple out and really make a big impact.
And it's making the streets safe too.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes.
Really.
Awesome. Yes, I believe that. So yes, congratulations for being a rippler. We need to say goodbye. So thank you very much. Once again, I'm Sue Hutchins, and this is Iowa Prison Perspectives, a collaboration between Living Beyond the Bars of Iowa, Iowa Justice Action Network, and Iowa Cure. I really hope that you will reach out to me. Those of you who have watched this will reach out to me and let me know if you agree with what we're doing here, if you don't agree with what I'm doing, if you have someone who you think ought to be interviewed, or if you yourself would like to be interviewed. My goal is really to inform the public from all different perspectives about the prison system and about reentry from the prison system here in Iowa. And so please reach out to me. I can be found at iowaprisonperspectives@gmail.com. And that's iaprisonperspectives@gmail.com. And I really, really look forward to hearing from you. And once again, thank you very much to One City, to the Feltuses. And I will say goodbye for now. And I will see you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye now.
Thanks, Sue.